3 different perspectives, maybe even 4 if I happen to answer on this one because I might have an answer. But those perspectives are invaluable assets. And it doesn't matter who's listening or watching. It doesn't matter where you're from, what country you're in, what time of day it happens to be. Perspective is the most invaluable asset that we can learn. Now, Kaylee, Kelli, and Kathleen have already shared a whole bunch of stuff in the last several episodes that you've gotten a chance to watch. You can see them in pieces across the rest of the channel, but today I get to ask the question. So today you get the final episode of this particular season of Earned Influence. And today you get to learn a little bit more about Kathy, Kelli, and Kathleen. Let's get into it. Ladies, one of the challenges of getting and understanding perspective, and most importantly, the root of this entire series about earned influence, is overcoming challenges. What are the things that make us who we are? And more importantly, what are the things that help get us here today? Those challenges sometimes represent the most valuable thing that we learn. So today, I'd like the 3 of you to answer me in what was the largest hurdle that provided you the most value to get you here today. Kathleen?
Well, it's hard to pick the largest one because there've been so many, I think. But I think probably one of the biggest hurdles for me was just figuring out what it was going to take to make the leapfrog from the VP level where I was for many years into C-suite, and what it was that needed to be different in order to actually accomplish that. And I wasn't really able, when I was thinking about, okay, this is my goal or whatever, I couldn't articulate to you probably for the first time in my career, like what was it going to take for me to get to that next level? I had no idea. I had no idea why I wasn't already there, or what I needed to do differently. And so what I did in order to accomplish that, honestly, is I decided to look outside, right? So your boss relationship is one thing. Usually you have some kind of mentorship, maybe inside your company, maybe outside your company, et cetera. So I had all that stuff already on board and I was already working in those realms, but I decided to get even further along that journey. And I got an outside coach and an outside peer group that had nothing to do with this industry, and that had, didn't really know me and all of those things. And I articulated, this is what I'm working on. And then we started working on individual business challenges. And through those, it became obvious sort of what the things were that I needed to do in order to actually make that transition, be able to step into it. And so a lot of times when we're stuck, it's because we don't have the right perspectives. And I was definitely stuck, or we have a lot of good perspectives, but not the ones we need for that next hurdle or that next challenge. And once I stepped into that, it was probably I think it was like 15 months between me deciding to do that and engaging in that way and me actually accomplishing that next step in my career. And that happened for me about 4 years ago.
Awesome. So your biggest hurdle that has provided the most impact was understanding how to take the next step, or what the next step was to go from a VP to a C-suite. And for you, it required mentorship, both directly with a coach, as well as getting yourself into a peer group of people who either are doing it already or who are in the same circumstances you are, trying to take that next step. Where have we heard that before, technicians?
Yeah.
Kelli, what was that for you? What was your hurdle that provided you the most valuable?
Yeah, so I would say finding the right, mutually beneficial leadership and team and company. So I'm kind of like an oddball, and my experience is very wide, right? And so I have all these various skill sets that, things I can do, but it was finding the right role and the right company and the right leadership to say you can fly and you can flex those without boundaries, and to just give me the trust to really pull different, okay, need to do conquest email. Okay, I need to do some, coding. Okay, I need to do some design. I need to do sales. I need to do some advertising. It was I never wanted to be pigeonholed, a little bit into like what my skill sets are, into like one role that was like, okay, no, you can only use 4 or 5 of these. It was like, no, like I think it was me figuring out that like my best thing about myself was learning like what was my best skill set. Understanding that like my best skill set was knowing that I'm good at a bunch of things that connect, and it was connecting all of those. But finding a company that isn't going to pigeonhole you, or leadership that isn't going to pigeonhole you, and just say, no, if you need to go flex that today, like go flex that skill set. The company needs like a gap to fill over here today, put on that hat, And so it was like, I think finding for me to get to where I'm at is like realizing, that there's value in having these various things that like I've learned and have gained experiences that are all sort of like marketing and like event related and whatever, but how to piece those all together, and then finding the right leadership and team that allowed me the flexibility to use those when needed, and not putting me in like a box, and not putting myself in a box really. So yeah, I mean because trying to like say if like I was just like a social media director, or if I was just doing SEO or something, like I'd feel super boxed in. Like and that doesn't lead to like really good results over time, or making you, stay passionate about what you do, or delivering like the best results. Like I'm a little bit of an odd bird. Like, yeah, I need to flex different things at certain times, and then know when to use them all together and have the freedom to do that. So I think, finding those things about yourself, and then finding the right place for yourself, and not being afraid to leave a place, to go find that, right, is also like something like you have to learn, because it can be scary, especially like if you look at like a resume and you're like year and a half here, a couple years there, and you're like, I don't care. Like I want to find the right fit, period. And yeah, so take it.
Interesting. So if I can summarize this with my brain, I hear find a direct one-to-one coach that can help you, aka Mark, who is an exceptional leader and
Yeah.
awesome entrepreneur who will
Yeah.
accept you for who you are, understand your talents, and put you with a group of people, aka peer group, as you were, and that way you can succeed at the next level. It sounds an awful lot like exactly what Kathleen just said, but in a slightly different, shall we say, transfigured state. But it's still finding someone direct who is quasi doing the thing you want to do, or can lead you down the path of doing what you want to do, and a group of people that can support you in that effort and either hold you accountable or help you get to the next level by either training you or being supportive in what you're doing every day as a group. I'm willing to bet that the same kind of story is going to come from Kaylee.
Yeah, kind of actually. But so I feel very fortunate because I feel like I've found the place very early on, and they've allowed me to, kind of explore and like test things out. So like you, Kelly, it's like I do multiple things. I'm not just in sales, like I'm involved in marketing. I do a podcast. I also get involved in like production and operate. Like I don't run that stuff, but I'm also very much aware of what's going on and kind of fill in where I'm needed. And then also pulling leadership together to have regular conversations about growth of company. I'm like, I didn't even know what title that is.
Right. Right. Right.
One of the things I struggled with, I'm like, well, my title is sales and marketing, but that's not really what I'm doing. And then I also kind of feel jumbled, I guess is the right word, like where I'm like, what do I focus on today? But I'm not sure if I think I'm going through the hurdle. So I don't really have an answer of like how I've overcome the hurdle. But one thing I did earlier, guess I was late last year, was I joined Engage Women in Auto, and that's ran by Liza Borsch and Danelle Delgado. And I joined for a total, like when I joined, my goal was so different. And going through the lessons and the training, it's pulled so many things out of my life that's not even about professional. It's more about my life and me. So like, I guess my hurdle right now, or what I'm going through, or what I'm learning, is like focusing on myself and like, what do I need in my life so then I can flourish in the other goals. Cause I feel like I hit a point with my career where I was like, man, I have achieved so much. I've done what I really said I was going to do in the last 5 years. And like, what's next? How do I get to the next level? And I get like kept pushing that. And then I forgot about like my health and me. And also I had children in between all of that. So I think that's what it's pulled out of me, is like, I really have focused on like my health and goals of, spending more time with my kids and my family, which I normally kind of do, but like intentional time, like I'm actually there. And then also the biggest thing was health. Like I just kept like, oh, I need more sleep. It's like, no, I need to get up and I need to exercise. I need to eat better and like do all those things. I'm not perfect, but what I've learned through all the training is like, it doesn't happen overnight. Like and then I beat myself up. I'm like, well, I know what I need to do. The plan is right here. Why haven't I done it? And it's like, well, it keeps kind of changing. Like you learn and then you tweak to make it like better. I don't know if I'm making sense. I think you guys
Yeah.
are nodding, but
Yeah.
You're making a
Yeah.
lot of sense.
Lot
You're
of
making so much sense because
okay.
some of the
That's good.
things, okay, so it's a slightly different, but it's also stuff that I have said and people have shared on the show time and time and time again, over and over. And this is why it's so important to get perspective and to get stories, because it brings us back to core principles. So I say on a regular basis, it's the boring stuff that makes us the money. Well, that also applies to simple things like health. It's the boring things that get us healthy. Being consistent at the gym, which I'm not. But for the last 10 months, I have been consistent about portion control. I have been consistent about reducing the amount of sugar that I take in a day. And I have not touched a sugary drink unless it was a no sugar drink in the last 10 months. And I am down 27 pounds in 10 months. It has taken a significant amount of effort and a significant amount of thought every single day in every single meal that I do to get there. Now, is there a lot more that I can do? Absolutely. But it's the little things. It's the boring things, whether it's at work or professional. It's the boring things that make us the money. And I say it over and over again. 2, the things that you expect to get when you join networks and small peer groups of people doing the things you want to do or people doing the things that you are doing that help bring you up. I share this regularly in terms of productivity. One negative person reduces the productivity of the 5 people around them potentially 20%. In terms of positive, those 5 people around them, if they're positive, they increase 5%. So it takes all 5 people to overcome the delta of the one negative person. So the more positive people you have in your life, and the more negative people you remove from your life, the better your life gets. So that's for you, for all 3 of you, and for me, because I have TSL. Me, my hurdle, those groups, my hurdle 5-6 years ago, COVID, I got smashed in the face from COVID because I was doing my own thing. I was ego driven. I had a business. I knew everything. I had 3 paying clients in March 1st of 2020. And by March 13th of 2020, I had 0, full ghosted. I had no job. I had no career. I had no money coming in. I had no idea what to do. I got super humbled and had to go work night shift at the local grocery store down the street. So my big hurdle was there. I got humbled. And guess what? I found my way back to faith. I found a whole group of people. I started from Sean Welsh, of all people, Sean Welsh, saying, hey, I understand what you're trying to do, because he understood that I had already read the article. He knew I was trying to get more into service and understand better what the outside landscape of being a technician was in service management, so on and so forth. He put me to Service Drive Live. Service Drive Live met me Joe Chambers, Eric Howdegi, and literally like 150 people over the last 4.5 years that have almost become family to me. That's the biggest value to me. Found my faith again. I found friends. I found more, as to your point, Kaylee, more intentional time with my family, with my wife, with my son. I found an epic amount of things in terms of people. Plus, it forced me to have purpose, intentional purpose of helping everyone out there live a happier, healthy, more productive life. And whilst it hasn't brought me a lap of luxury in wealth, it has built me a significantly gigantic mountain of wealth in people. And that I can't put a price tag on, because that audience of people that I get to share with every single day, I have a group of people that I work with that I get to have conversations with every day. I get to have conversations with you 3 amongst the other 12 that I'm going to have as part of this entire series. So that hurdle in 2020 of being super humbled has given me such an invaluable series of assets that I can never, ever, ever truly quantify. So thank you for sharing yours. Those hurdles mean a lot to me. Your stories, your experiences, your perspectives, more than anything, mean a lot to me. And whether all of you out there listening and watching get the same out of it as I do, to me, that's the gravy, because I got to learn a whole lot, and I got to share a whole lot, and I got to learn a whole lot more. So thank you, all 3 of you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Marvelous. So just to cap this off, ladies and gentlemen, I want to go through this because this is important to me, because this kind of caps off this episode a little bit. Influence is the title, okay? It's not how loud you are. It's not how many people you report to, or how many people report to you. It's not the things you do in the marketplace or how long you've been in the industry. It's what happens when people trust you, your intentions, your character, and most importantly, the results of your actions. They determine what happens next. That is earned influence. And today, and the last couple episodes, you've got to listen to the earned influence of Kelli Verdi, Kaylee Felio, and Kathleen Long. So thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, for listening and watching. I hope you enjoy. I hope you like. I hope you subscribe. I hope you share it with somebody who needs to hear these messages. And as always, subscribe. And lastly, negative pushes, positive pulls, and always clean your toys before you put them away.
Thank you for watching. Please share, subscribe, and tune in for the next episode.